You're not quite ready to retire, but not quite the hot property you used to be. And then suddenly the life you had built from all that hard work that you had put in for years, for the past maybe 30 years, is gone in a 15-minute meeting in the HR department. So in addition to losing my parents and my kids moving out and relocating, I had lost a job. It was at that moment that I was in the darkest days of my life. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't have the luxury of falling apart right now. Now, somewhere in all of that happening, something shifted for me. And interestingly enough, it came out of a verse that I read in the book of Job. Now, the book of Job has got to be the most depressing book in the Bible. And all of that was going on, and I'm reading the book of Job, and I'm like sinking further and further into the darkness. But there was a particular verse that stuck with me because I found it to be very interesting the way it was phrased. And it came from Job chapter 3, verse 25. Job 3:25. And here's what it said. That which I feared the most has come upon me. Now, think about that for a second. That which I feared the most has come upon me. Is that possible? Is it possible that Job, despite all of his prosperity and good fortune, was dwelling on the notion that the whole bottom could drop out at any moment? That which I feared the most has come upon me. It was almost like he was saying, hey, despite everything going really well for me, I've got this aching feeling that something crappy could happen at any moment. Now, you know that I'm not a biblical scholar. I don't have any theological training, so I don't know about all this banter that was going on between God and the devil and why this was happening to Job. But what I know is that Job was crushing life. Then in a flash, it was catastrophic. And he says, I was worried about this happening the whole time. So then I began to reflect on that verse for my particular situation. And I started thinking, am I in a similar predicament? Had I been focusing on what could go wrong instead of what could go right or what was going right? Now, here's what I knew. I knew that I had no time for reliving why my life had come off the rails. I knew that that kind of energy would not be productive. It would not produce any fruit whatsoever. So I took the verse and I flipped it and I turned it into like an affirmation that I began reciting nearly every morning before I got out of bed. And what I started to say to myself was, that which I desire the most has come upon me. And I would say it over and over. That which I desire the most has come upon me. And the more I said it, the more focused I got on what I needed to do to get back to work, to get cash flow happening again and put my life back in order. And then it clicked. And I realized something that I don't know that I realized to this depth before. You don't rebuild your life by lamenting about what happened and trying to rewrite that script. You rebuild it by deciding how you're going to show up next. So here's what that looked like for me. The first thing I realized was that I didn't have time for a pity party. I was dealing with a lot of pride and shame and self-loathing and anger and frustration, all of it. But there was no time for that. So I got past that feeling of one moment wanting to punch somebody in the face and the next moment I was crying in my coffee. I just had to shake it off because the clock was ticking. Next is about presence, what I had to learn about how I wanted the family to perceive me through this process. What I knew was I didn't want them to see me broken. So you have to kind of be like the head coach of a football team who's down by 9 points and you're at the 2-minute warning. Your family doesn't want to see panic on your face or on your body. You have to have this appearance of like, come on, we've got this. We are going to persevere through this. They need to see that on you. So this is a shared event. It's not just you. And the last thing I realized was you don't come out of something like this quite the same. You come out with a different perspective, a different level of awareness of how fragile things are. And you have to handle it right. It requires a completely different type of strength, not the strength that got you through the past 30 years, a new strength. So if you're in one of those stretches right now where it feels like everything is hitting at once, just know this. This is not the end of your story, but it is a moment that's going to require something very special from you. It's going to require courage and clarity and discipline and a commitment to keep moving forward, a commitment to perseverance, even when it doesn't feel like it's happening yet. Because sometimes the moment that everything feels like it's falling apart is actually the moment where rebuilding is revealed to you. So if that resonates with you, I would love for you to stick around to this channel. I would love for you to share it, subscribe, because we're building something really special here for men who are in this back half of life and they know that this isn't where the story ends. I'm Arnie Cap. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for sharing.